world is changing quickly. As automation robots take over manual labor, and we find greater percentages of the population stuck at home watching TV with no identity, the creative arts will save us.
This is the new earth, the new dimension which we're directing our steps to.
This incubator, this think tank home, a community home for artists and poets and technologists and futurists and visionaries of all sorts.
I feel like it's a congregation that's forming here, and it's forming around Joel, who's a visionary, and he's bringing together an intention to really be birthing new culture.
There has been a lot of talk about how this feels very much like a renaissance, you know? Kind of like the rebels, the poets in the 20s.
We're birthing new cultural norms. We're being together in ways that are valuing tribal consciousness, kinship, and more a familial context of being together. And I feel like that's the way of the future.
It's been really interesting seeing all the possible events that can happen and all the possible ripples that a community like this could have.
The governance models that Joel is researching and developing, and the active role he has in pushing it to the limits is a big part of the puzzle that's coming together for what the solution looks like.
Well, I think what we want to do is go out and find the greatest innovations in a particular area, whether it's AI or cybernetics or brain, technology or, intentional community design, and then bring it back and integrate it into what we're doing.
Joel is building the technology. Joel is building the infrastructure for communities, that it will be scalable, almost like a franchise, and how to turn artists into businesses and be able to create this equal energetic exchange, a synergy between the artists and the collector.
Art is one of the core visions that has allowed great societies to come together. If you look at human history, a lot of them have come together over a particular aesthetic coherence. And it's not just about like art that's on a wall, it's about the nature of the language, the grammar, the poetry, all those things, that connecting tissue that binds that society and kind of vision together.
There were so many communities back in the 60s and 70s. There were so many all over, and they just fell apart.
One of the greatest challenges in communities has always been transparency of resource management.
Am I good enough to change this thing that I can see is about to happen?
Are we creating a regenerative home for a human? Are we doing that with the dome? Are we doing it with the pyramid? Are we doing it with the regular home? So what does that take to create the perfect human space?
I really feel like we're here with this intention of co-creating a new history, rewriting, rebirth, where this is the re-renaissance, and we're here doing it. Unifier to me is an event or a space that allows all tribes and vibes to co-create. I have an idea, and I'm open to suggestion, help on bringing substance and soul to this name, and what we can use with it, what we can do with it.
So there was a concern, raised this morning that some of the, masculine mode of some of the participants in the circle last night may have been overpowering and kind of drowning out other voices.
Maybe it seems more often than not that the masculine is trying to dominate, but I think it's just nature. I think that we are more open to just say what we feel, and the feminine is more like, let me really think about what I want to say before I say it.
So in the design phase of this, it's been brought up multiple times that we want to have a container that allows all these different types of energies to play with each other in harmony.
We will formally close and adjourn this session. It's part of the wound we carry, that women carry, this patriarchal, dominant, masculine culture, hierarchy. So that's just what happened, is I felt somebody come in with a lot of ownership and a lot of claiming, and I was kind of like, oh, is that the vision? Is that, it's like his vision? What does intentional community look like? How do we get along? How are we going to create structures and foundations and formats so we have functional, thriving groups of people? Not the same train wreck of interpersonal dynamics that crash and burn, drama, a lot of projection, a lot of unconscious patterning getting played out.
When you come together as a community, a lot of people feel hurt by different things that people do, and a lot of it comes down to like miscommunication. The other side of it is that it makes for a really interesting study of a community, because you see everybody's sort of perspective on reality. With Joel, there's a lot of really interesting people on the cutting edge of their practices when it comes to technology or financial investments or artists, that it's going to make it more solid and something that could actually last for generations to come, hopefully.
There just aren't a lot of spaces that people feel are really genuine and full of kind of like heart energy and kind of warmth, you know? So to create something that, you know, has a kind of different sort of fabric to it, I think has been, you know, welcomed by many people.
I have no interest in what's crumbling. My concentration and focus is as a bridger to these new next generation technologies and all this cutting edge thinking.
Creating a foundation for the evolution of a new phase of humanity in general, that's not based on scarcity and violence and competition, but it's based on you know, mutual recognition and integration with nature and kind of a new abundant paradigm for living.